What's up, fellas? In the first video of the day, we're going to be doing our weekly trade roundup, where I go ahead and I look at a ton of different trade rumors that I've been seeing throughout the week. I put them together in one video and we talk about them really quickly. We've got 5 really interesting rumors for this week, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every single day on this channel, so it's a great place for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube. If you're new here, what's up? My name is Tucker. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well if you're enjoying them, and you can check me out at various socials in a Linktree link down in the description below. With those things said, let's go and take a look at our rumors for the week. So the first big one is a player that we've talked about in these videos, we've talked about in other standalone videos, and that is Kyle Lowry. And at first, I just put this on here as a report that I saw yesterday, which is that the Raptors are not expected to trade Kyle Lowry. They want to continue to move forward with the season. They want to try and be as good as they can this year, and that does not involve moving someone like Kyle Lowry that is so important to the roster. However, there are still conflicting reports out there that you need to keep an eye on Philadelphia. You need to keep an eye on a couple of different teams throughout the league as possible trade targets for Lowry. And so it's kind of all over the place. The strongest reporting seems to be for this idea that they're not going to move him. And I don't really see how their mindset and their situation could change all that drastically between now and the deadline, barring some kind of catastrophic injury to one of their main players, which of course is not what we're hoping here for. So it looks like Kyle Lowry's not going to be traded. If he was, I still think Philadelphia is the spot. I think it's the most logical scenario. I think it's the scenario that makes the most sense. And I think Toronto is definitely invested in where they send Kyle Lowry. They're not just going to send him to some random team. They're not going to send him to a team that's not any good. They're going to do right by Kyle Lowry, which again points towards this Philadelphia destination if he does get moved. But ultimately, this rumor seems to point towards Kyle Lowry remaining a Toronto Raptor and becoming one of the biggest free agents in the 2021 class with a $30 million expiring contract for this upcoming offseason. So certainly a player to keep an eye on as we go towards that offseason. If you're a team that's kind of missed out on some big free agents, Kyle Lowry could be a guy to take a look at if he does not want to return to Toronto, or if there's just more money out there, a better situation out there for him. Next up now, this rumor, I hesitated to even put this in here, but we're going to put it in there anyway. It's about Lonzo Ball. It's about LeVar Ball. Lonzo has been in, I think he was in the first one of these videos that I did, and basically just talking about the fact that he went from a guy that was on the trade block, it looked like New Orleans was looking seriously at trading him, to now making a ton of shots and seems pretty critical to the future of New Orleans and does not seem like a guy that they're interested in moving. And then, of course, his dad comes out the other day and is like, hey, he hates New Orleans. I hope he gets traded. Like, it's, first of all, it's unnecessary. It doesn't help your kid at all. Second of all, whether that's true or not, there's no way for us to know. But at the end of the day, it's the team's decision on whether or not, Lonzo ends up being traded. And unless they just think that he's becoming too good of an asset to the point where they're not willing to re-sign him this offseason because of whatever potential cost there would be out there for Lonzo, they're going to keep him. Now, I think you can make an argument towards trading him even though he's playing better lately. One, because this is the best stretch of play we've seen from him probably ever, so capitalizing on that's not a bad idea. But two, are you going to be willing to pay $17, $18, $19, $20 million a year for Lonzo Ball after the season based off a stretch of play of about 3.5 to 4 weeks? Probably not, right? So despite the comments and how ridiculous they are, I do think that there is a basis here for the idea that you should be looking at Lonzo moves despite the fact that he is playing better lately. I have no idea what's happening with the Pelicans, with New Orleans, what their future is. I really don't know. I think they've got a lot of talented players. I think they've got a lot of future picks and absolutely zero direction. So this is not a scenario in which I feel confident at all that I can predict what New Orleans is going to end up doing here. All I would say is that the possibility exists on both sides that Lonzo could be traded or he couldn't be. Next up now, the third rumor here. This one really caught me off guard. There are teams interested in trading for Spencer Dinwiddie this year. Spencer Dinwiddie's not expected to play this season, but there's been rumors specifically as it relates to the Miami Heat about them wanting to bring in Spencer Dinwiddie. And at first I was like, what could be the reasoning for this, especially for a team in the Heat that wants to be good this year? Why would you give up assets for a guy that can't play? So apparently the mindset here is they would be giving up someone like Kendrick Nunn, a guy that they're not planning on re-signing at the end of the season anyway. They would get back Spencer Dinwiddie in exchange for someone like Nunn and whatever else they want to send out to help the Nets this season. And they would plan on Dinwiddie opting into his $12 million option for next off season. so that they can get Dinwiddie for 12 rather than trying to re-sign none, or they're not going to re-sign anyway. So they're getting somebody rather than absolutely nothing, assuming none leaves in the offseason, which is apparently their plan, which seems like a really convoluted, complicated, unlikely scenario for a team that A, wants to be good this year, and B, doesn't want to help the Nets get better, because I already think they're the best team in the East. So all that just seems very, very odd, but there's a reason it's in the video. It's because it's interesting. It's such an odd, scenario. It's something you just have to calculate, I guess, and think, is it worth being worse this year and helping another team be good just so we can have Dinwiddie for next year, assuming he comes back healthy at $12 million a year? Because the possibility also exists that he just opts out and then you made your team worse this year and he, becomes a free agent and tries to sign a longer-term deal in 2021. He's one of the most unconventional players in the league, so I wouldn't put it past him whatsoever to opt out of that contract. So ultimately, I wouldn't recommend this if I was, in charge of Miami. Just keep your players. You're fine. Your team's playing well. Don't mess with it. Don't try and do too much here, which I think is kind of what's happening here with this Dinwiddie trade, rumor at least. Next up now on the list, Victor Oladipo has to make an appearance in a video on a weekly basis at this point. We talked before about the fact that apparently Golden State was interested in bringing in Oladipo. There were conversations had. Well, now, and I can't understand why this would be the case, but apparently Houston is asking too much for Victor Oladipo, and they want like some of the top assets that Golden State has available to them. Wiseman, the Minnesota pick, which is laughable. It's laughable that they're even asking for those things. I know Oladipo had a big game the other night, but he's an expiring contract. Everybody knows he doesn't want to be in Houston at the end of the season. He's on an awful team, and there's no leverage here from Houston. Zero. Absolutely zero. You made the mistake of trading for the guy in the first place, and now things have gone so poorly that he wants to be traded again already, and there's mutual interest there in trading of him. And no team is going to be giving up crazy significant assets in exchange for Oladipo. Now, he's a good player, and if they really want to be good towards the end of the year and they think they have a good chance of re-signing him, yeah, they'll give it a shot and they'll try and go out and get him. But they're not going to be head over heels for a Victor Oladipo trade. They're just not. So this one, it literally says they want, quote, top assets in exchange for Victor Oladipo from Golden State. That's not going to happen. They might as well just stop calling Golden State, because there's 0% chance that you're getting a top asset from any team in exchange for Victor Oladipo, much less the kind of assets that Golden State has at their disposal. So it appears as though the Oladipo thing to Golden State isn't happening. I really wish they would trade him before the deadline, because I'm almost convinced that he's leaving. So it would make sense for them to move him, but I don't know. I don't know what their problem is. I don't know why they're asking for so much reportedly, but that's a significant issue. And then the last rumor on the list here is some Terry Rozier trade buzz. This has been happening over the last week and a half or so, where you just keep seeing random little rumors and little reports about, hey, Terry Rozier could possibly be moved here or here. And it on one hand, it's odd to me because Terry Rozier's had a good season. And I think there's some Boston fans that are looking at this thinking, why don't we have Terry Rozier anymore? What's happening? I'd rather have Kemba than I'd rather have Rozier than Kemba. I don't know if that's the correct argument, but there's some people thinking that and saying that. Rozier's a fine player. He can really score the basketball. He's having a good season in Charlotte. And at first, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Clear the path for LaMelo. You don't need a ton of other guards. They've already got other guards. Move him, get some value, nice young player, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And yeah, that makes sense. But I feel like in that scenario, the guy to move here would be Devontae Graham, who yes doesn't have as much value, but is on an expiring contract and just simply isn't as good of a player as Terry Rozier. So that's kind of the disconnect for me. It's like, why are we exploring Terry Rozier trades when Devontae Graham exists? That's my only thing. Now, maybe they think that there's a better fit there alongside LaMelo long term, or they think that Rozier is going to be too expensive to retain eventually, rather than someone like Graham. But this one was just a little bit confusing. It would be cool, I think, to see Terry Rozier in a different team, but I also really like him in Charlotte because I just really like the Charlotte team. They're fun. They're super fun to watch, and I don't know. I don't really know why they would mess with that outside of bringing in a five-man. And maybe that's what they're looking at. They're like, hey, we need a big. We've got too many guards. Or the best trade asset we have is probably Rozier. The best realistic trade asset we have is probably Rozier. Let's go out and fix our five-man problem by trading away, Rozier and Zeller, move forward from there. Because we talked about in the past how it is relatively difficult for Charlotte to make a trade for like a higher-priced big guy like LaMarcus Aldridge or Nikola Vucevic, just because it's difficult to match salaries. You have the Zeller expiring, but then you kind of have to pick some other asset on the roster to give up. And, in the case of Vucevic, it makes sense, but in the case of Aldridge, it doesn't. So it becomes a little bit difficult, but then when you add the Rozier salary in, maybe it makes a little bit more sense. So ultimately, maybe that's what they're looking at here, but I still find it a little bit odd to see Rozier involved in some rumors. So those are our five biggest ones of the week, as we are very, very close now to the trade deadline. We've got Kyle Lowry reportedly not being traded, at least that's the strongest reported. We've got Lonzo apparently hating New Orleans, whatever that does to the possibility of him being traded. Apparently teams, including Miami, being interested in trading for Spencer Dinwiddie, which is quite odd to me. Oladipo price is too steep for the Warriors right now because for some reason the Rockets want top assets from teams, including the Warriors, and then some Terry Rozier buzz as well. As always, if you guys have some trade rumors that you're seeing throughout the week, send them to me down in the comment section below. Send them to me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can. I have a lot of fun looking at these every single week. And then after we get past the trade deadline, if you've got free agency rumors, just any kind of rumors, man, I love it. I love it. I love it. This is one of my favorite things that I do, is kind of deep diving into all these little tiny little nitpicky kind of things. Is super, super fun for me. So the more you guys send me, the more fun it is for me and the more videos I can make about them. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the first video of the day, and thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at various socials in a Linktree link down in the description below. With all those things said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Friday, and I will see you all next time.